All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're breaking down Mel Robbins' viral sensation, the Let Them Theory. This is a super simple mindset tool, but it's designed to do something huge. Help you reclaim a ton of energy and find some actual peace in a world that is always trying to drag you into drama.
So, do you ever just feel completely drained by things you have zero control over? You totally know the feeling. You're stuck in traffic, absolutely fuming at some stranger, or a rude customer just tanks your entire mood. It's that sudden wave of stress that can just completely derail your day.
Or, hey, maybe it's happening at work. You pour your heart and soul into a project, and then, in the big meeting, your colleague just casually takes credit for your brilliant idea. Ugh, the frustration is instant.
Or what about socially? You're scrolling through your phone and bam, there's a picture of all your friends out together, and you weren't invited. That little sting of being left out, it's sharp, and it is very, very real. And then, of course, there's the all-time classic, family members who have some very strong opinions about how you live your life. It can leave you feeling so defensive and just totally misunderstood.
So why? Why do these moments hijack our emotions so completely? Well, it all boils down to this psychological glitch that's really at the heart of this entire theory. It's called the control trap.
Okay, so here's the big idea. Our brains are literally hardwired for survival. And for our brains, survival means seeking control and predictability. The problem is, we don't just try to control our environment, we try to control other people. What they think, what they do, how they feel, all just to make ourselves feel a little safer. You know, Mel Robbins talks about this light bulb moment she had during her son's super chaotic prom night, realizing all her efforts to control every little detail were only making her miserable.
And this creates a dynamic that psychologists call the law of resistance. Basically, the more you try to control someone, the more they're going to instinctively push back, just to protect their own sense of freedom. So you push, they resist, you nag, they pull away. It becomes this awful negative feedback loop that just completely drains your energy and leaves everybody feeling resentful.
So, how do you break this cycle, right? How do you get out of that trap?
Well, the solution, according to Robbins, is a surprisingly simple two-word phrase.
Now, this is so important. This is not the same as saying, let it go. I don't know about you, but for a lot of us, let it go feels kind of passive, like you're just giving up. But let them, that's a power move. It's an active choice to detach yourself from the drama, to rise above it, and to acknowledge that, yeah, you can't control them, but you can always control you.
So where did this phrase even come from? Well, the idea itself, detachment, it's ancient. I mean, it's a core teaching in Stoicism and Buddhism. But more recently, a viral poem by Cassie Phillips in 2022 really made the phrase popular. Then, about a year later, Mel Robbins framed it as her Let Them Theory, which eventually became a book. It's a pretty cool example of how an idea can catch on and evolve from a bunch of different sources.
Okay, so the theory is one thing, but what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's get practical. Let's put let them into action.
Okay, let's go back to that coworker who stole your idea. Your gut reaction is to get furious, right? The let them approach is to mentally just say, you know what? Let them have this moment. Why? Because their behavior isn't really an attack. It's data. It's telling you exactly who this person is, and that lets you step back from the emotion and refocus your energy on what you actually control, doing great work and making sure the right people know about it.
And what about your friends who made plans without you? Yeah, it hurts, but trying to force your way into their plans is only going to lead to more pain. So you let them. You let their actions show you who they really are and what their priorities are. This frees you up from chasing their approval and lets you invest your precious time and energy in the people who actually genuinely show up for you.
And this quote just nails the entire concept. So many of our conflicts are just like this, a relational tug of war. We pull and we pull, trying so desperately to get the other person to change or see our side. This theory says the most powerful thing you can do is just drop the rope. But here's the thing. Dropping the rope isn't about being passive. It's about creating space. And what you do with that new space, that's the second half of this whole equation. It's the part where you really take your power back. It's not just let them, it's also let me.
So this is the full formula right here. First, the stressful thing happens. Then you use let them as a tool to mentally detach to stop that emotional spiral in its tracks. But step three is the real game changer. You immediately pivot to, okay, now let me figure out what I'm going to do next. This is how you take all that energy you saved and turn it into productive action for yourself.
And that brings us to the 3, and only 3, things you ever truly have control over.
This right here is the absolute core of your personal power. Like, think about it. You can't control if someone breaks up with you, but you can control your response. You can let yourself grieve, you can decide to go no contact, and you can let yourself focus on building a future where you are happy. Your response, that's everything.
Okay, but we've got to have a balanced perspective here. This is not some magic wand that's going to solve every problem in your life. It's a tool, and just like any tool, it has its strengths, but it also has its limitations.
And yeah, the theory definitely has its critics. A lot of reviewers say the book feels pretty repetitive, stretching one simple idea into more than 300 pages. Others argue it kind of oversimplifies really complex psychological issues that might need more than just a mantra. And, of course, there's the whole debate about where it came from and whether the idea was borrowed from other creators.
But even with those critiques, the theory leaves us with a really powerful, really empowering question. I mean, what would actually happen if you stopped waiting around for other people to change? What could you build, or create, or become if you took all that wasted energy and channeled it back into yourself, into your own next move?
So, if you're ready to give this a try, here is your playbook. The absolute key is to start small. Next time you're stuck in traffic, instead of getting all worked up, just think, let them drive how they drive, and immediately pivot to, let me enjoy my music. Figure out what your triggers are, use the mantra, and always bring your focus back to what you can actually control.
And as you start using that playbook, just keep these powerful rules in your back pocket. Think of them as your North Star. They're the core principles that make the whole thing click. Remember, you can only control you. Your peace is your job. People's behavior is telling you the truth about them, and while let them creates the space, it's let me that actually moves your life forward.
And that's our breakdown of the let them theory. Hey, if you found this explainer useful, do us a favor and hit that like button, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more deep dives into big ideas. Thanks so much for watching.